It's great to be joined today by former Louisiana State Senator Elbert Guillory. He is currently in a race in Louisiana's 4th District for U.S. Congress. It's so great to speak to you. You have this very interesting backstory where many people know sort of half of it, where you went from being a Democrat to being a Republican. But what many don't remember in that story is that you were actually a Republican first and then became a Democrat for a few years, then back to a Republican. Talk to us about that. Why the multiple party switches?
Service. Actually, I was a Democrat originally, and the first time I became a Republican, the governor of Illinois just appointed me to his cabinet, and he was a Republican and told me that by the next morning I should be a Republican in order to serve on his cabinet and to perform the very important tasks that I had been appointed to. So I became a Republican.
So in other words, it was you were told, if you want to do what we're appointing you to do, you have to change your party affiliation. That was imposed on you. You didn't necessarily want to do that.
It wasn't, I wouldn't say imposed. The exact conversation was, "Oh, Guillory," as I was walking out the door. "Oh, Guillory, you are a Republican, aren't you?" And I said, "No, Governor, but I will be tomorrow morning."
Wow. And then when you switched back to being a Democrat, you were first running for the state house in what was a heavily Democratic district, District 40. Was that just political posturing? Was it just strategy? I mean, had your political views then changed where it made sense to then be a Democrat once again?
It made sense to be a Democrat at that point. And when I switched this time, I switched for two reasons. The first is that it's been absolutely clear to me that my community suffers from putting all of its eggs in one basket. By having all of us, 98% of us, operating as Democrats, we get left away from the table where decisions are made.
And to be clear, when you say my community, do you mean your physical community, or which community are you referring to?
I mean the Black community at this point.
Ah, okay.
The Black suffers. You know, if you look at the Hispanic community or the Asian community or the Jewish community or any other ethnic community, they are at every table where decisions are made. Only Black folk are left out. And so that was certainly one of the reasons. But the second reason is of the matter of values. The Democrat Party had gone so far to the left on matters that are important to my community and my heart, my family. Issues like life and God and guns and country.
And that all happened between 2007 and 2013.
Yes, that is correct. Particularly in Louisiana. I'm talking about the Louisiana Democrat Party that moved so far to the left so quickly that it took binoculars for me to see them.
And on what particular, you mentioned some of the sort of general issues, but very specifically, as you said in Louisiana, whether it's on God or life or guns, for example, how specifically, from when you became a Democrat in 2007 to when you went back to being a Republican in 2013, did those positions change among Democrats in Louisiana?
The Louisiana Democrat Party became very much anti-gun ownership. And my family and I are very, very pro-gun. My community is very pro-gun. We're a rural community. We're a community of veterans, of doughboys. In my own family, my stepdad fought in World War I in France. My brother served in World War II. I served during the Vietnam era. My son, one of my sons, served in this present Middle East conflict or set of conflicts. So we're shooters. We're guys who like to shoot at tin cans and at targets and birds and other small animals.
And isn't it a concern, because you talked about service in the military, in connection to sort of the liking to be shooters? On the one hand, there's the issue you're talking about of guns. On the other hand, though, there's a really important issue of taking care of our veterans. So it's sort of surprising to me that you would sort of find a comfortable place in the Republican Party when we've seen time and again at the national level, which you're now seeking to join, Republicans who have voted not to properly fund everything from body armor to other supplies for troops. We've seen Republicans vote against health care and really dealing with many of the issues that our troops suffer, including PTSD. It's been Democrats, by and large, of course, with some exceptions, it's been Democrats who want to support the troops in that way, and Republicans who say we just can't afford it. Does that not put you off as a Republican whose family members have served?
Actually, I view many of the votes that you're talking about in a more complex fashion. The problem is a spending problem. We have placed a lot of money into the hands of our military. Unfortunately, we have soldiers stationed in 167 countries. We do not have a national interest in 167 countries.
Okay, now you're talking my language. I like that. Yeah, go on.
We're wasting money that way. Now, during the last 8 years of Democrat administration, there has been absolute mismanagement of the Veterans Administration under this Democrat administration. The long waits, the high number of veterans dying, waiting for an appointment to see a doctor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but that's the result. That's the result of Republicans not wanting to fund it properly, though.
I don't believe so. I believe that those votes were a little bit more complex than that. Actually, the Republican Party has been very supportive of the military and very supportive of the VA. But looking at Elbert Guillory,
yeah,
I am 1,000% supportive of the VA, and I am going to demand that we that we manage the VA properly.
Yeah, I agree with you. It just seems you're going to have much more willingness to listen to that idea on the Democratic side, as we've seen from vote after vote. Let me ask you about one other issue, which is really important in Louisiana, and it's really important to the black community as well. We've seen voter suppression tactics used around the country by everybody from Ken Blackwell to Jeb Bush as governor, many other states. And we see time and again that there's a really specific group that is disproportionately disenfranchised by those voter suppression tactics, and that is non-white people. We're talking about black and brown voters. And we know that if you look at the country and you look at a map, if you look at the areas that have more minorities living in them, those are the areas that are targets for voter suppression laws. That is almost 100% at the hands of Republicans. Does that not bother you as a black American who says the black community is so important? The black community is disproportionately disenfranchised by the right's voter suppression laws.
First, let me tell you that in St. Landry Parish in Louisiana, my home, my parents did not vote, were not able to vote until the late 1940s, early 1950s.
Okay.
When you talk voter suppression, I have lived through voter exclusion.
Sure.
So I understand the issue.
Yeah.
Now,
that's what makes me think you would be so much against what Republicans have done, because you uniquely are positioned to understand it. Why are you with the party that wants to make it more difficult for black and brown people to vote?
I don't see this as making it more difficult for black and brown people to vote, but let me give you an example.
Yeah.
In New Orleans, there was an election about a decade or so ago, and this is on the record. There are affidavits of people who were, what was taking place was that there would be a van that would come by and it would load up people. They would each get paid, and they would go from precinct to precinct in this van, and they would all get out, and when they got out at a specific precinct, they'd be given an ID card, and they'd be John Smith. So he'd be John Smith at this place, and he'd go and vote.
Yeah.
Get back on the van would go to the next precinct, he'd get off, and he'd be John Johnson, and John Johnson would vote at the next precinct.
Right.
That kind of voter fraud is something that we have to address. There's
We
no
do.
way
The
to.
problem is it's barely existent. I mean, anecdotal stories, I'm not denying any of your anecdotes. I don't know specifically the one you're talking about. This has been widely studied by nonpartisan group after nonpartisan group. It is a total straw man. The idea of passing voter suppression laws like we've seen and these oppressive voter ID laws, which are not, it's not just get a free ID, we've talked about that. Those have been used under the guise of stopping the types of incidents you're describing, which are almost completely non-existent, just absolutely not non-existent. It is simply not an issue according to any fair analysis of the situation, and it's being used to justify disenfranchising black and brown voters. And it's just shocking to me that you would throw in with that party. Call me old-fashioned. I just don't get it.
Well, actually, I think I'm the old-fashioned guy. I mean, I want everyone to just play by the rules.
Right.
If in America, you have to have an ID card to go to school, you have to have one to drive, you have to have one to get Social Security, you have to have one to do just about anything in America. So I don't believe that it's unreasonable for a person to be able to go to vote and show that they are an American citizen who is legitimately registered to vote. And that's all this is about. It's not about suppressing votes or disenfranchising anyone. It's about playing by the rules.
Yeah, you're right that it may not,
you know,
to say what it is or isn't about is sort of subjective, and we'd have to know about the psyche of some. And some Republicans have said it actually is deliberate to make it easier for Republicans to win. But what we have to also pay attention to is, does it disenfranchise disproportionately black and brown people? So whatever the intention is, it does do that. And that is sort of my concern, operating in the real world rather in the world of whether it's meant to do that. It does do that, and that's my concern.
I don't believe that it's unreasonable for a person to have an ID card and to present an ID card in order to vote. I support having as many people participate, and during my whole career. I mean, I've been involved in politics for 48 years.
Yeah.
And during that whole career, I've been trying to get people out to vote, motivated to come and vote. And during that whole period, I've never found it unreasonable for someone to present an ID card to show that they are a legitimately registered voter.
All right, former Louisiana State Senator Elbert Guillory. He is running in Louisiana's 4th District for U.S. Congress as a Republican. It's no secret if you've watched this interview that I don't totally get it. But if it makes sense to you, Mr. Guillory, by all means, we will follow the race and we will see how it goes. And I really do appreciate you taking some time to talk to me today.
It has been a pleasure, David. I'm really a fan of yours.
Thank you.
I don't believe that we disagree very often. But we are both passionate about this. Please have invite your listeners to come, your watchers to come and visit me at voteelbert.com and understand more of what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.